Hi, this is Scott from Interface Printers. I am going to go over a very common problem with a interface device. This one here is an interface device for a 550 or a 560 or 570, but it's basically the same thing as an interface device for a 700, 700i 770 or a C or a J75. So the problem that we're having on this particular interface device is that as soon as the paper gets pulled into the intake chute here, it jams almost immediately. A lot of times what happens in shipping is the front piece here will get bent out of shape and will cause it to jam. And I'm going to go ahead while I'm over here and just show you what the issue is. And I'm going to need to take this piece here off just in the front to fix the problem. So let me go ahead and open the front door up here. And the first thing you'll notice is this magnetic piece here is, although it's clipping in, it's not going to be making good contact. So first thing I'm going to do is bend this down just to make it work. And you see it actually snugs up a little bit more. Just a couple of components on these here. You have two different sets of rollers. One of them is these white rolls here, which are called pressure rollers. And then these up here are the takeaway rollers. So something I see as soon as I pull this open is that the rollers here in the front, right here, is actually recessed behind this chute. And if I pull it this way, you can see how they're not protruding at all. Now you can see the one back here in the very back, you can actually see it sticking out. But the rest of them are not. If they are slightly below the chute, what will happen is as the paper is traveling through here, these pressure rolls, which should be making contact here, will cause the paper to get pulled slightly into this little opening and will cause a crease on your paper. So if you have these creases on your paper on everything, it's probably because of this piece here. So I hope you can actually see this, but if you look right in here, you can see in this little opening here, let's see if I can do this with one hand. In this little opening here, you can see that there's this little tab that actually bends 90 degrees and goes up. You can see how it's angling that way, and that's because it's bent. This whole piece here has been pushed out this way. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bend it back that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these magnets off here. Alright, so I went ahead and took that magnet off there. There's two screws. And while I was at it, I went ahead and removed this screw here also, which will allow you to pull this down just a little bit. And if we swing around on the other side, you can see how this is actually bent just a little bit. We're going to need to bend that back. So while I was at it, it's going to allow me to pull this down just a little bit. I wouldn't pull on it too much. You can completely remove it if you like. This whole piece, I'm going to head and remove this screw over here, and by doing that I took off the back panel. There's a panel here and a smaller panel here. Take this panel off first, and then this panel, two screws on each one. Now you can go ahead and, if you want to, there's one screw right in here that you can remove, which would be this one, and at the same time you could remove this one right in here, which is going to be behind this plastic piece. But I'm going to try to do it without removing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend this back down with a pair of needle nose pliers. Okay, so I think the best way is to grab it from the back side here and just being really careful and just pull it back down. Oops, sorry. And pull it back down until you can make a visual that it's about in the right spot. And it looks to me like it is. Don't necessarily worry about this piece here being bent this way. As soon as we screw it in, it'll straighten back up. Okay. Okay, so I went ahead and put this screw back in here. I want you to notice that there is an adjustment area in here, but what I really want you to notice is how the rolls, the takeaway rolls, are protruding. You see how they're sticking out right here? So now I'll demonstrate how these pressure rolls work, hopefully. One of the things I typically do when I'm testing to make sure that the pressure rolls are making even contact is, as I push on it, I'll watch them to make sure all of them are hitting and getting about the same tension. If one of them has more tension or more pressure on one side than the other side, what will happen is as the paper comes through, your paper will get skewed a little bit, and when it comes out, it'll be like I said, it'll be skewed a little bit and it'll come out sideways. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this magnet back on real quick. Okay, looks like we have some good pressure here. So go ahead and lock this in. One thing I want to point out is, if you'll see right here, this actually has a screw head on the top of it. So I'm just going to stick my 5.5 in here and spin this. And as I spin it, you'll notice that that the pressure rolls are all moving. That means that they're making good pressure. You can't see the first one and the third one here, but they are moving, and I went ahead and checked it with my fingers just to make sure they're spinning. So this is another good way that you can check to before you hook it back up to make sure you're getting good pressure. So I'm going to do exactly that. Let me grab a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. And this is really difficult to do with one hand. Okay, now I got the piece of paper in there a little bit so it doesn't fall out. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up. Once again, I'm spinning here. You see how the paper comes through. One thing you want to notice is, as it comes through this area here, make sure that it's even and it's not getting pulled one way or the other. Okay, that should be about it. That should cover the whole thing. If you have any questions, give me a call.